Have you had a problem with your natural hair but don't know where to go? Or maybe you're thinking about transitioning to a new style but are confused about all of the YouTube videos that you've been watching. Now, personally, I have had my hair done by all kinds of people. And of course, growing up, my mom did my hair, and I also wore beautiful cornrows from a talented braider down the block. Her name was Mrs. Walker. And when I lived with my aunt and uncle for a few years, they had me going to a licensed hair professional. And then my family tricked me into getting a jerry curl. And after a couple of years, I started doing my hair myself. And eventually, I got a relaxer. But my hair didn't start flourishing until I got to college and started going to a colleague and a good friend of mine, Mrs. Deirdre Keller, who is a licensed hair professional. However, I've had my stint of having unlicensed friends put relaxers in my hair because when I went to graduate school in the middle of Missouri, there was absolutely no one trained to do Black hair. So back in the day, I had to stumble around, but now we can find someone with the click of a few keys on the computer. But if you have to transition from relaxed hair and go to natural hair, what do you do? Or maybe your hair is braided, but you're at the risk of getting traction alopecia. And so you want to know who is out there who is best for that. Now, maybe you even want to have a protective style. You know, you want to keep your hair healthy. So, how do you know if someone is qualified to keep your hair exactly the way you want it? Well, today I will be joined with the Voices of Trichology and an advocate for the beauty and barber industry, Miss Tamara Johnson-Shealey. So we can discuss the differences between hair professionals and what to do and keep in mind when choosing a practitioner. My name is Dr. Crystal Porter, and I'm a hair scientist and owner of Main Insights, which is a company that conducts research and focuses on the needs of hair, focuses on the needs of people of African descent. This platform is designed to elevate the Black hair industry and empower consumers and hair professionals with education that is driven by scientific research. However, I also know the importance of consumers getting information from educated practitioners. So once a month, I bring on experts to talk about practical services and concerns in the salon. Today is that day, and our topic is versus the battle between hair professionals. So, the Voices of Trichology, along with our special guest, Ms. Tamara Johnson-Shealey, will compare the different types of hair practitioners out there to try to cut down on all the confusion on what is best for your particular hair situation. Thank you all for joining me on the chat. Now, before I bring everyone on, I would love to know who is out there with me this morning. Let me know who you are and where you're from. And then also let me know who you are. Like put the number 1 if you are a practitioner, put the number 2 if you are a consumer, and put the number 3 if you are a researcher or a scientist such as myself. Also, please feel free to like and share. You don't want to be stingy with the information you are consuming. But if you are frustrated with the lack of information that is available to you when it comes to caring for your hair, and you've wasted a lot of money, time, and resources trying to figure things out on your own, you're definitely in the right place. And that is why we have created the Our Black Hair Matters movement. Now, I have put together a special resource called Finding the Right Stylist. Let me see if I can navigate to it so I can bring it up. Let's see, here it is here. Maybe. There it is. So on the ticker below. So that if you need to schedule an appointment, we have our team here to help. And then if you, let's see, I am navigating on my own today. But if you have a concern and you want to schedule a complimentary consultation, you can go to, here we go. That links.maininsights.com/APPT. All right. And so it is time to get started. So for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to the Our Black Hair Matters Lunchtime Chat. Today, we will talk about the differences in hair professionals who care for your hair. I am Dr. Crystal Porter, and the Voices of Trichology are here with me today to lend their expertise because it is the first Monday of the month. But we also have our special guest who is no stranger to the chat, and that is Miss Tamara Johnson-Shealey. I am going to bring everyone on. All right. Thanks so much, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
So I am going to actually do something different and have you guys to tell a little bit about yourselves. So if you could take about 1 minute each, starting with Marvelette, because I see you first. Will you please let everyone know who you are and what you're about?
So I am Marvelette Bailey. I am a licensed cosmetologist, a licensed cosmetology educator, a trichologist, and a certified biomedical research assistant. I've been in the industry over 30 years. And I love what I do. I just love the industry.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been sending, a lot of people here in Chicagoland need your help. So glad to have you around.
Thank you.
All right. And Miss Donisha?
So I am Donisha Sullivan. I am also a biomedical research assistant. I'm a master cosmetologist and a certified trichologist. And I specialize in hair loss. So if it is hair thinning, hair breakage, and also hair replacement. So all things hair loss.
Awesome. And Dana?
Hi, everybody. I am Dana Wilson. I am a Cystolog Master Trainer, a bioresearch assistant, a certified trichologist, and a certified cold capper. I've been in the natural hair family for over 22 years now. I specialize in supporting people who have hair loss issues, and I also coach Cystolog consultants. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. And last but not least, Miss Tamara Johnson-Shealey.
Well, good morning. I am Tamara Johnson-Shealey. I am the lead organizer for the Concerned Beauty and Barber Professionals. I am the lead advocate for Politics, Beauty, and Barber. We are a two-in-one effort, two-in-one organization that is designed to first address the need for higher health and safety standards in the beauty and barber industry and address policy state to state that affects our licensure.
Awesome. Your work is extremely important.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before we jump in, I do want to acknowledge those who put your information in the chat. Thanks so much. Hello, Mildred. Good morning to you. Glad to have you. We have Mary, who is on LinkedIn, and she is a consumer. And then we have Dr. Janine Wright as well. No, she's I think she's a stylist. So thank you, Janine Wright, and thank you, Mary, on LinkedIn. Really appreciate it. All right, so we're going to jump on in. I would love for everyone to set the record straight because there's a lot of confusion out there when it comes to people understanding who they should see for certain ailments. And so, Dana, I know that you are a Sister Locks consultant, so I would love from you taking care of natural hair. What is your definition of a natural stylist?
A natural stylist is someone who deals with tightly textured hair, who that has not been chemically altered in regards to a hair management system. There is people that have natural hair, obviously, that does have chemical on their regarding to color. However, the natural hairstylist does not do color. So it is a person who deals with the tightly textured hair that does not involve chemical processing.
Okay. And so there would be some consumers out there who said, well, I don't think I have highly textured coily hair, but I find it hard to find someone to deal with my curly or frizzy hair. So do you think that it could expand into the looser textures as well?
Well, when I say tightly textured, it's really someone with a curl. It tightly textured could be a loose a curl. It could be a short curl pattern. It is hair that has not been altered.
Okay.
We're not altering it with a chemical process. So it could be a loose curl, and a natural hairstylist can absolutely serve that person.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And so then we have the bucket of cosmetologists. And so, Donisha, can you give us a definition of what a cosmetologist is?
So a cosmetologist is someone who works with all textures of hair, colors, cuts, chemicals. They can specialize in one service or another, but typically they have gone to school for training and are licensed in their state with regulations to make sure that that they are in line with industry standards and safety standards as well. So they are licensed, they are trained professionals that have a concentration in hair and scalp services, whether it be styling, chemicals, just different techniques, different styling. There's an array of opportunities for cosmetologists, but they are professionals.
Okay. And Marvelette, can you give us a breakdown of what a trichologist is?
So a trichologist is somebody who is trained and certified, most likely, in the area of trichology and hair loss, scalp and disease or disorders. Although you do not have to be in the beauty industry to be a trichologist, it helps because you understand the hair, the process, and everything that goes along with it. You do have people from the medical profession that are trichologists, but they did other educational things to become a doctor, and they probably did that first before they became a trichologist or after. You could be in the medical field, period, as a nurse or whatever, but most likely, people from the beauty industry transition to a trichologist to get a better understanding of hair loss issues and hair diseases, hair and scalp diseases. It's like an in-depth study or certification to learn more about scalp diseases and disorders and how to help people properly, and what you can service and what you can't service, and when to outsource them out to other people who can help them.
Okay. Thank you for that. Now, Tamara, you are an advocate for the industry, and you service all three of what we've been talking about. So what have you seen in terms of some of the challenges out there, and why would some of the consumers be confused?
Yeah, and let me kind of backtrack just a bit. We are specific to those who are licensed, and that's the cosmetologists specifically. Certification is, like Marvelette said, is the trichologist, and the natural hair is there. There's a lot of controversy, and I hope we can dive into this as we continue this dialogue. There's a lot of controversy with the natural hair stylist or the natural hair specialist. So that is, again, what we address those who are specifically licensed, and that is the cosmetologist. Go to your other half of your question again, Dr. Crystal. I'm sorry.
So the confusion that arises because you said there's a lot of controversy, and I think what you are thinking of when you are saying that there's controversy has to do with the confusion, because most people think when they go see a professional and they get their hair done, whether it's braided, whether it's extensions, or whatever type of natural hairstyle, they believe that they are going to someone who has been not only trained, but also can take care of their health and have had training based on how to keep people healthy with sanitation. So can you kind of go into why it's controversial?
That word professional You know, everybody wants to be a professional, right? You're a natural hair professional, you're a cosmetologist, that makes you a professional, you're a trichologist, that makes you a professional. Like, this word is so loosely used, this professional word is so loosely used that the consumer is confused. You know, I'm very, very natural. I wear my hair short, I wash it, I condition it, I moisturize it, and that's the extent of my beauty regimen with my hair. So I don't require a whole lot, but you know, there's a lot of versatility in our culture. You know, people like braids, they like sister locks, they want it straight, they want the extensions, it's all these, you know, all the color. I've gotten to a place now where I don't want to color anymore. So, and that becomes another conversation specific to health. So there's, you know, all this versatility that exists in our culture as a people, that they want the look, and they're so caught up in wanting the look that they're not really looking at, is this a healthy approach to my hair? And that is where we have to start to educate the consumer. You know, that is where the real professionals must stand up. Must stand up, because we have these influencers who have gotten in front of this industry. And this is where my fight is. These influencers that have gotten in front of this industry and say, well, we're the professionals. We're telling clients to do this, or customers to use this product and do this for their hair. So we're the professionals. So this word professional, going back to your original question, this word professional is so loosely used that the consumer don't know who to go to. They just know they want the look.
No, you are absolutely right. Do any of you want to weigh in on that in terms of people wanting the look? Because I know that there are situations where the look supersedes hair health, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get that more often than not. A lot of people want a particular look, even if they come for hair loss or trichology services, they still want a particular look. So I tell them, you have to make a decision. Either you want your natural hair to grow back and be healthy and safe, or you want to wear this other look that's not working well for you because it's causing problems. So people struggle with that. And even if they say they want help, they still lean toward doing those other things. So I can't service you because it's going against everything I believe in.
Right. So, what about when people say, okay, you can either be a cosmetologist or a trichologist, but you shouldn't do both? I mean, so what is your take on that? I see both, well, everybody's smiling, but I think Donisha and Marvelette, definitely it triggered something. So what would you like to say about that, Donisha?
So I personally struggled with that at first. In cosmetology, I had been in cosmetology for about 18 years, and I struggled with trying to manage cosmetology and trichology, because they are really, it's like speaking two different languages, even though they are married to each other, and they are it's important to have them both, because you want the cosmetology, you want a nice look, you want the hair to have a nice flow to it, a nice style. Usually cosmetology is more about the look and the aesthetics of things, and how the hair flows and how it behaves, and that look. And so with trichology, it's more so about the wellness and health of not just the hair, but also the scalp. So it's more on a not as creative. The trichology is not as creative as cosmetology. And so I believe that we need both. I believe that they both have a very important role that they play for each person. Each individual can benefit from a cosmetologist and a trichologist. Your cosmetologist is going to focus on the art and the styling and the salon services that you're accustomed to, whereas the trichologist is going to be there to help address those problems that you're having, scalp issues, hair issues, so that the hair can be healthy enough to do those cosmetology services. And so I just think that they work really well together, and we need them both. That's my opinion.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly with you. I cannot tell you how many people have hair and scalp problems. And I've shared this story many times before, but when I first got started, I was helping people individually and letting them know what the quality of their hair was, letting them know what options they had and what they could do to keep their hair healthy. But at the end of the day, they really didn't want to do anything that was recommended. They wanted to look and feel beautiful, but they wanted someone else to do it. Hence is why I have you ladies on my team, because I can, without a doubt, refer anyone to you and I know that they'll be taken care of. And so, Tamara, can you talk a little bit about when a lot of natural hair, I'll just say natural hair stylists, I know you were talking about the word professional. Oftentimes I use the word to just categorize everyone who manipulates hair in that profession. And so can you talk a little bit about sanitation? Because I don't think the general public realizes that there is a distinct difference in most of the training for a licensed cosmetologist and some of the natural hair practitioners that are out there.
Yeah, and I'm sure Dana is going to chime in on this with me. So this is a part of our industry that is not regulated. You know, this is a part of our industry in most states where there is no licensure requirement for natural hair. And let me kind of go back in our history a little bit. You know, this is a thorn. This part of, and I know, and I knew this conversation was going to go here. So Dana, let's
it's good. It's all good. It's all good.
This is a thorn in the industry. This is something that we need to continue to talk about. But back in the history of our industry, there was a state, and I'm gonna speak to Texas specifically, where there was a licensure for natural hair. That licensure came about, and now it does not exist anymore. And having requirements for natural hair is a protection to the consumer. Anytime you are touching a paying client, now I understand that, you know, natural hair is who we are culturally, right? This is, you know, this hair grows out of our head and it's curly, it's kinky, it's straight, it's all kind. I got 3 different textures going on in mine. So, but this is cultural, and natural hair, they say it's, you know, it's ancestral. You know, they've given it all these terms, but policy has made it racial. And there has been this fight, a political battle in our industry that has pitted the industry against itself. We were already not on the same page with the operating of these professionals, or natural hair practitioners, as Dr. Crystal calls them. It was already controversy, but then policy came along and made it even worse and made this thing very racial. It has a racial undertone and a racial component to it now, where we have those who are like immigrants to this country, the African community, that are braiding and providing services, and a lot of their standards don't meet our standards here in the United States when it comes to sanitation, going back to your original question. So we have a cultural component, a racial component in this battle for who should be providing hair care services to the consumer. In our organization and in our efforts, it has always been our way that everybody should be licensed. There should be some sort of professional training if you are providing services to the general public and you're being paid for it. There should be training, and you should have some sort of licensure or certification. So Dana, this is your seat, and I'm gonna back up because I know this could get, this is a touchy subject, but it's a conversation that we have to have.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you, Tamara, in regards to I believe that a practitioner or professional, whatever you want to call it, absolutely need to be educated on health and safety. It doesn't matter if you braiding hair, you're locking hair, whatever you're doing with hair. I do agree. I'm not sure about the licensure, but there should be some kind of training or certification involved in it. I do also agree that it's cultural. I mean, we did hair at home. I mean, obviously, some of us in the kitchen, which we know now that that is not sanitary. However, I do. So I went to natural hair school, right? And I was in the classroom with the cosmetologist for the beginning part of the schooling in the training. However, then they just moved me right to the floor doing hair. I did braids and twists. That was the gist of it. So the cosmetology school got my money, but I didn't necessarily feel like I had got any training that I can say of true value. Okay, that had to do with what I was actually going to be practicing. So I think there is some things that need to be worked out and discussed in regards to, yes, if you get a license, what actually are they teaching you that is valuable into the natural hair world? Because I didn't get that. Now, certification, absolutely, I believe is a great thing because there is some kind of training that something that has some documentation that you did something and you within certain standards. So I'm definitely in agreements with that. But a natural hair practitioner could be so many different things. It could be a braider, it could be a loctician, it could be someone that's just doing twist and two-strand twists, anything that has to do with the natural texture of your hair and not doing anything with chemicals. So I don't know if that answered the question. I know
Let me speak to the licensure again. Let's you and I kind of dive in just a little
Yes.
bit. As Marvelette and Denicia, they're there.
Right.
So let's speak to the licensure. Licensure for this industry, it really raises our standards. It gives us the professional value. So I don't want us to ever discount licensure. Your doctors have license. Your attorneys have license. All your legitimate professions have high standards. And that's what licensure would do for the natural hair practitioner. Like, so I don't want us to devalue in this conversation. I really want people to see that there is value. It's not just a piece of paper on our wall. That piece of paper shows our credibility. Like, we have been trained in health, safety, sanitation, infection control. You know, we've been trained in these areas to make sure that the consumers are safe. And even with licensure, another part of our fight as an organization, we want to see there be mandatory continuing education. You should never stop learning in this industry. And there's Dr. Crystal with all this science and data and technology. And this industry has to evolve. And this is where we're losing as beauty and barber professionals, because we address barbers as well. This is where we're losing. We're not growing. This industry is not evolving. There's levels to this industry, and each level should be respected. That licensure seals the deal, make sure we're all on the same page. We all are abiding by the same standards. This industry, in order for it to evolve to where science and technology is going right now, we have to do something very, very different. And we have to insist that the entire industry levels up.
I agree with the level up. I'm not in agreement with per se the licensure, unless there is some kind of licensure that will actually be specific to the natural hairstylist. It would have to be across the board. It couldn't be just the way it is now, these individual states. So right now you might have a natural hairstyling license in Georgia that you can't deal with water, anything that has to do with water or chemicals. And in another state, you can deal with water, but not the chemicals. So it's different from state to state. We would have to have a credible group to be able to say what a natural hair practitioner can and cannot do, and what that curriculum will actually really involve. Right now, there is certification programs that are processes that does cover health and safety. For example, Sister Locks. That's one of the great things about Sister Locks is that Dr. Joanne Cornwell, her certification process has the health and safety component in there as well. So there is little pockets of this out here that's because we do understand we have to level up in that area. But as it is today, there's nothing that is universal that really makes sense for the natural hairstylist for licensure.
And that's where this natural hair community should come together and say, yes, we want to have some uniformity in this part of the industry. We don't want to see one state doing it one way, another state doing it another way. There needs to be a curriculum. There needs to be some accredited schools. There's a whole lane. I just see so much opportunity in natural hair because it's like, it's a free for all right now. It's everybody just doing something under the radar. Nobody seems to care. And again, if our industry as a whole is going to come into this 21st century, we have to do some things very differently.
Now, I can say the trichology side of the house is really adding to this in a great way, because as a natural hair practitioner myself, the trichology definitely enhances my business because in my experience, a lot of people are come to the natural side because they believe that the chemicals have contributed to the hair loss, right? And so they come to the natural hairstylist, and if she does not have any training around hair loss, she's just going to cover it up, camouflage it as well, instead of being very aware about the different alopecias and what we can do to treat it. So I believe that trichology and the natural hair professional practitioner really works hand in hand and could work very hand in hand with each other.
Agreed. Now, I want to just take a pause because we do have some comments from those who are listening. So Dr. Janine Wright says, I feel that trichology is the foundation of cosmetology. Having cosmetology without trichology is equivalent to building a house on sand over time. There is instability and it sinks. Cosmetology without the support of trichologists leads to damage, poor scalp health, and eventually hair loss. I remind clients that you can't make pretty that you can't make pretty was not what was not there. So that's great. Then she continues and says, I feel that unfortunately beauty schools aren't equipped to properly train on the appropriate care of Americans of color, and then their hair care needs. I also agree with Tamara's comments. I also feel that there should be consistency in licensure and certifications to ensure everyone is educated and trained equally. Yes, I agree with that. Then we have a Facebook user that says we need to keep licenses around. We have been fighting for years to be reputable. Agree with that. And then, not sure if it was the same Facebook user. Sorry, your name isn't there. But amen, science and technology, we can rewrite the curriculum for each entity. Oh, I cannot tell you. I definitely agree with that because when trichology textbooks don't include citations or references, it drives me batty. Because when you define trichology as the science of hair and scalp, and you don't include some of the basic research findings that support what it is you're supposed to be doing, it drives me absolutely bonkers. And so that is something that I am definitely advocating for. So thank you for that comment. Corey Woods says, as a current cosmetologist, teacher, and hair loss practitioner, I really feel like the trichology and scalp care aspect is missing in the schools. It is not looked as an importance. Right. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Man. So thank you for your comments. Keep them coming. And I do want to address, so some people who enter trichology believe that you have to have a particular background. And Marvelette stated that you can have people who are in the medical profession already, nurses, and even some physicians who have gotten their certification in trichology. I'm curious, Dana, about your take on that, because if you don't have the foundation of a cosmetology license, but I feel that you are in a different bucket because you said you actually had courses, you learned about sanitation, you have, as a Sister Locks practitioner, you have other education and training that allows you to care for people, unlike a braider who just braids hair. But I want to talk to you about the background and how you fit into trichology with your natural hair specialty.
And so I believe what I was saying before, it really goes hand in hand, because people are coming to the natural hair practitioner a lot of times because they've had a bad experience with chemicals, and they believe that it has exacerbated hair loss. And so as a natural hair practitioner, I think it is to our advantage to learn more about what's going on in the scalp and being able to identify and maybe prevent these things from happening with the client. Now, in regards to just anybody, Joe Blow, becoming a trichologist, because it's not regulated, you can do that, right? You could just be a hair advocate, somebody that's interested in hair and scalp and want to deep dive in it. Because it's not regulated at that point, it's an open field for anybody to really get into the trichology field, truly. However, I think it enhances someone that is a cosmetologist or someone that deals with hair already to take that move, because they can marry those two worlds together.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to ask this question because I get a lot of people who come to me and say, oh, my stylist mixes their own chemicals in the back, and then they sell it and they help with hair loss or whatever. And so I'm wondering if cosmetology school prepares you for treating like hair loss, because a lot of cosmetologists are doing so. So Marvelette, what are your thoughts?
So I'm going to be fair, because I graduated from beauty school over 30 years ago. So when I was there, and then I did go back to teach. So each of my experiences in beauty school, I'm going to say a hard no. They didn't teach us anything, to my recollection, about hair loss or trichology. I know that there is a small section in the book, but as we were talking, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't recall them even mentioning the word. Now, I could be wrong because it's been years, but I don't recall going over it at all.
Well, you also have continuing education. So have you been introduced it with your continuing education?
Not through regular cosmetology, only through trichology.
Okay.
And then I did my own research, 10 years before I went to become a trichologist. So on my own, but as far as just seeking, like going to a regular class, no, not that I recall. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to say no, not that I recall.
Donisha?
I think that trichology should be taught in the schools more in depth. It should be introduced. It should be taught. It should be a foundation, because hair and scalp care should be the most important part, and then everything else built on top of that. I agree with Marvelette. What I remember from 20 years ago, it was a very, very small section, but it wasn't introduced as trichology. It was, if I can remember correctly, it was more so diseases, things that you may see, ringworm, things like that, so that you're aware of it and know how to address it properly, refer them out, and all of those great things. But to be in depth and have an understanding of the hair strands, the structures, the different disorders of the hair strands, the different disorders of the scalp, how to address overly oily or excessively dry, just being able to identify different types of scalp conditions. That was not a part of my education as a cosmetologist. And so I too had to go and get more information to be trained in trichology to get a better understanding. So I think that it should be something that should be a part of the standard in teaching cosmetology, because going forward, I mean, hair loss is just, it's not going to stop on its own, which we know. And if we continue with the same habits and we're not educated, then as a cosmetologist, we can actually contribute to the problem and not know it. We you know, it could be an issue that we're not aware that we're contributing to, or we're not able to help the client as much as we possibly would be able to if we had the knowledge. So I think that we should have more information about trichology, or even hair and scalp care, even if it's not trichology as a whole, but just more information about hair and scalp care would be beneficial.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead, Marvelette.
I just wanted to add to Donisha. I agree with everything she said. I feel like if they put more emphasis on it, cosmetologists will make different decisions, or better decisions, about the things they do and the styles they create. And also to open up the door to let you know it's different facets of the beauty industry. You don't have to go behind a chair. It will help people make better decisions earlier on. Okay, Dana.
I was going to say to answer some of the things that Tamara raised, to add to what she raised about the natural hair practitioner. This may be the answer for that person that's concerned to have a natural hair practitioner that doesn't know about the health and safety. If we add that trichology certification to the playing field, that may help with some of those concerns, because the trichology is beneficial for the cosmetologist and the natural hair practitioner, because we are dealing with the hair and the scalp. So that may help with some of those health and safety concerns as well.
And there sounds like your curriculum right there. I was taking notes while all of you were talking. I'm like, I'm sitting here on fire. Like, y'all, this is a great conversation. So thank you, Dr. Crystal, for bringing us all together. But as Donisha was talking, I was thinking about, the hair loss and how it's internal and it's external reasons to why people are having hair loss. So there's a whole level of training that needs to happen there. Mm-hmm. How we could change. I was thinking about how we could change the curriculum, require continuing education. And then, as you just said, Dana, having that trichology and maybe not so much of the cosmetology part of it in the curriculum for the natural hair practitioner, because they really need to understand the health, maybe marry that together. Like, I can see, and I wrote this big word on my paper, opportunities in this industry. This industry, again, is not evolving. It's not. You know what they're doing to us as professionals, practitioners? They're lowering our hours across the country. They're lowering the standards. They call it a barrier to entry. They want to bring more and more people into this workforce. Corporate America sees this as an opportunity, because I see the opportunity in it. So the corporate companies that want to put people behind the chair and they want them to work hourly and they want a workforce, they see the opportunity. But we as practitioners, professionals, we have to come together and say, you know what, this is our industry, and we're going to dictate how this industry is going to look to the future professionals. So our work is tremendous, but it's going to take conversations like this that we need to continue to have. We got to really, again, address this state by state by state. That becomes what our organization does with Politics, Beauty, and Barber. This is where professionals, practitioners, we come together and say, this is what this policy needs to be. We can write this, right? We can write this policy and we can introduce this in every state's legislature. We just need professionals that's willing to do this kind of work. But the answers were given in this 45-minute conversation. The answers have been given. We have science and data with Dr. Crystal that is plentiful. Like, there's so much research that needs to happen that we could add to this curriculum and really transform our industry.
Yeah. So Dana, Dr. Janine Wright asked a question: as a natural practitioner, did you have anatomy like, did you learn anatomy during the theory process?
Well, I learned that in the cosmetology portion that I was involved in at the school. We learned about anatomy and then the life cycle of hair. That was about the gist of it. Outside of that, you were learning how to prepare the hair to put the chemical on it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so Corey Woods asked, I work at Paul Mitchell and we do not talk to them about hair loss unless I do something in a side class. Wow. And then Dr. Janine also says, Marvelette, I have to agree with you. It wasn't taught in school. I've been in the industry for 39 years. My awareness came through self-discovery to address clients' growing needs to address thinning and hair loss. Wow. And then Corey says, to be trained in trichology is a big investment, and it should already be included in the curriculum of obtaining a cosmetology license. Yeah. Then Michelle Webb says, good afternoon. Ladies, I am scheduled to take a hair loss replacement practitioners. Oh, okay, so a course. Because when the hair is gone, I believe the next step is to go with a prosthesis. Yeah. Everyone wants to look and feel good. Absolutely. That is so true. How do you all feel about that? Yeah. Well, yeah, hair loss replacement. So that is definitely in Donisha's lane. So I will let her address that.
So, in my professional opinion, scalp care is important no matter what you do, no matter if it is cosmetology, trichology, hair replacement, any type of styling that you choose to use to cover or replace, you still need to practice good hair and scalp care or scalp care. Because that is the individual skin that you're working with. And so there should be certain things that should be done to prepare the skin properly so that there's no further damage being done to that person's scalp, and to protect them and yourself as well. And so, and there are certain types of scalp conditions that you cannot apply hair units or hair pieces for long periods of time. Even if the hair is gone, you don't want to apply anything for long periods of time because of certain scalp conditions. And so I think that is very commendable that you are going to take a course. And the course that you're going to take, make sure that you vet the person that you're getting the information from so that you're getting a full range of information, not just how to apply the unit or how to order or the vendor list. All of that you can easily get access to that. What you want is information on how to better care for this client that has hair loss and how to make sure that you protect them and their well-being. So scalp care is very important with removing those units or placing those units. So I definitely encourage you to research where you're getting your information and search for someone that'll train you on proper care along with styling.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we have a lot of comments. So I'm hoping in the little time we have left that we can get to them. Dr. Janine Wright says, I think cosmetology schools should include trichologists, and I also think that cosmetology training should be a 2-year program to thoroughly educate the stylist. Wow. That would be a big change. Yeah. Betty Clausen, hey Betty, thanks for joining. Since adding trichology to our curriculum is giving the students a different perspective, I bet.
Yep.
Vanessa says she's late, but she also says that her hair is thinning so much now and she's so worried. Yeah, you definitely need to get in touch. You're in the Chicagoland area, and so Marvelette is here, and I definitely recommend that you see her. Also, we can have a conversation since I know you personally. Betty also says that since adding trichology to the curriculum, the students are different. That's great.
Right.
Then we have someone that says, yes, dictate how we will run our industry. And so I think that's just advocating for what you were saying, Tamara. Yes, ma'am, I am in. Let's address legislators. Great. Put your name in so that you guys can hook up. Tamara's doing great things in motivating and just moving people in the right direction to make change. Is biotin good for hair loss? No. Well, only if you're deficient. I'll answer that real quick. And so everybody runs to biotin, but that isn't always the answer. And then the last comment. No, it's not the last comment. I offer replacement as a last result. Clients receiving these services have to monitor regularly to prevent further loss and remaining biological hair. Yeah. And then Vanessa says, thank you for getting to that, right? Oh, one more. Oh, Rosalind Young is the one who said that she is wanting to help with the legislature. So awesome. Thank you for providing that. And then Corey Wood says they are already removing the amount of hours required to becoming a cosmetologist. Yeah, that's what Tamara was saying. How do we go about getting this added to the curriculum without pulling other things out? Any ideas about that, Tamara?
Yeah, and I'm sure Marvelette want to chime in too. A lot of that stuff, Marvelette, we know it's dated. Yep. It needs to come out, right? And I'll let you chime in right there because I think that's probably what you were going to say too.
That is that, and as well as whoever said that I think it was Corey, that the cosmetology school needs to be extended. 2 years is a lot, but once the curriculum is rewritten, then the amount of time can be determined. Because it probably does need to be extended to thoroughly teach what needs to be taught and to learn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to add a thought with that too, because we're talking about the benefits of adding trichology in. I think that should be a part of the continuing ed as well, along with the disease. What is it called? Now my mind is going blank. When we do the continuing ed on safety
health
and
health and safety.
What you said it was?
Health and safety.
The health and safety. Trichology should be added to that as well, because that should be a part of the program. It should be part of cosmetology and also part of continuing ed, so that there's a continuation of that understanding of the basics and just refreshers and reminders of, the foundation of what we're doing.
So let me tell you where our industry has gotten it wrong with the CEUs, Denicia. They're not mandated. So the states that quote unquote do require CEUs, there's no mechanism to even check whether or not they do. So people can say, yeah, I got my CEUs and just go and renew their license when really they actually haven't gotten any continuing education. So there needs to be a component added to it that literally monitors whether or not people are getting their CEUs, if in these states they're actually regulated and mandated. And see, this is where the battle is. Like, we have to come together as an industry and mandate that we have continuing education. And then inside of this continuing education curriculum, this is where we will add more information about health and safety and bring information about trichology and, really dive in. Again, the industry is changing with science and technology. The way things are going, this world beyond COVID is something very different. And the beauty and barber industry has to catch up and catch up fast.
Yeah. And that's part of the frustration for a natural hair practitioner, that people want us to be in the fold, and it doesn't seem like the fold has itself all together as well and able to address the natural hair care needs, even down to the products. We're getting more familiar as time go by about what products we need for our hair, but it's not being addressed in the cosmetology world. And the trichology piece of it needs to be there as well, because we're getting the issues that are coming from the cosmetology world to the natural hair practitioner, because they believe that it has impacted their hair and scalp.
So, I have an idea. I can't talk about it on the platform. We're basically out of time, but Tamara, you and I got to talk. Got a great idea. great idea. So yeah, we're going to talk. But I did want to say that there is excitement from this conversation. Dr. Janine Wright would love to have information on legislation and positive change for the industry. And then Corey agrees with everything that's been said. Dr. Janine Wright also says that she feels that 8 hours of CEUs is not enough over a 2-year period. But here's what's interesting. So I know that Connie Judge of National Trichology Training Institute, when she has some of the trichology training, or at least the last one that I attended in Chicago, this was post-COVID. No, this was pre-COVID, I mean. She had a course and she offers CEUs. So you can get trichology training and get CEUs for it. You just have to have someone who's teaching who would be able to offer that. Then Corey also says, even the importance of ingredients. Oh my God, lost in the industry. Don't get me started on that. That's a whole nother chat that we can have about that. But yeah, we'll talk about that in the future, Corey. Then Michelle says, just like we have here in the education industry, is STEM. This is our STEM. Yes, it is. And it's very important because technology has gotten to the point where, I mean, the cosmetology industry is just so far behind. And then as a Dr. Oz of holistic health, I am required to have 21 hours yearly. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then Corey says, I would love to connect with everyone. Absolutely. So on that note, that is the perfect transition for us to put in everybody's contact information. So if you want to be reached, Marvelette, I'll start with you. How would someone reach you and connect?
You can go to my website and send me a direct message through my website or email at www.trichoscienceclinic.com. I'm sorry, info@trichoscienceclinic.com. And that's TRICHO scienceclinic.com.
So not your website, you just want to email?
You could go to my website. So on my website, you can email me, direct message me, or start a conversation. It'll come to my phone like a text, or you can send me an email. You can contact me through my website.
Okay, I just put it in the chat. And so, Donisha?
And you can reach me. I am Donisha Sullivan at www.thehbtc.com. And that is THEH as in hair, B as in beauty, T as in treatment, C as in center.com. And from my website, you can also reach out to me via text, email, or direct message. And I'd love to speak with you.
Awesome. And so I am putting it in the chat, but I probably should put it up on the screen, but it's too late. Dana?
Okay, I'm Dana Wilson, and my website is www.haircares.com, or you can email me as well at info@haircaresinc.com.
Awesome. So those of you on social media, you should be able to see the information pop up. And then Tamara.
Yes, you can reach us at the THE, C for concern, B for beauty, B for barber, P for professional.org. So the CBBP.org. And we do have 8 hours of continuing education annually for our members. So the CBBP.org.
Okay, I just want to make sure that even though you're efficient at StreamYard, so you can put it in as well. But I have then THCBBP.com.
The THE, then right. C for concern.
Oh, C.
B for beauty, B for barber, P for professional.org. The CBBP.
Okay, I got it in there now.
That's it. .org, not .com.
.org. Okay, I got to change that.
And Dr. Porter, my information is incorrect. It's haircaresinc.com.
Oh, ink. Okay. Thank you. I will get it right. I will put everything back in. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Oh, this was great. Thank you so much. I have to give credit where credit is due. It is the team who comes up with their own topics for what we discuss every first Monday of the month. So this one was a hot one, ladies.
We
So
got to
thank
continue
you
this.
for your creativity in being able to do that. I didn't even get around to doing my how-to series, so we'll have to revisit this for sure. So thank you so much. If you are going to watch the replay or are watching the replay, be sure to post your comments and questions because I do definitely come back to it and I encourage my team to do the same. And if you are one of many hair professionals who is looking to find if you are someone who is looking to find a vetted hair practitioner, definitely be sure to schedule an appointment. You can go to links.maininsights.com, and there it is in the banner, 15-minute consultation, and that will be more likely with me, and I will connect you with a team member. So thank you so much for that. All right. And so we are done. Always remember that our Black hair matters. And as always, take care and love your hair. Bye-bye.
Thank you.